The cold, stark reality of prison life often strips away everything but the rawest elements of human existence: survival, fear, and the ceaseless ticking of time. This is the world where Robert Maudsley resided, a world he twisted into his own personal hunting ground. The Reddit post, simply titled 524 Days, is a chilling echo of the abyss he occupied, a stark reminder of the man, the violence, and the enduring confinement. His is a story of a disturbed mind, of brutal acts committed within the confines of the penal system, and the chilling consequences of justice served in a decidedly unconventional way. Robert John Maudsley, born in 1953, began his descent into darkness at a young age. While details of his early life are scarce, the shadows of abuse and trauma are often the breeding grounds for the monsters that would later emerge. He entered the criminal justice system initially for sexual offenses, a prelude to the far more horrific acts that would define his life. His first known conviction came in 1974, marking the beginning of a long and violent career behind bars. The prison system, meant to contain and rehabilitate, instead became the canvas upon which Maudsley would paint his gruesome masterpiece. His targets were not the guards, not the system itself. Instead, he sought out individuals he perceived as deserving of punishment, those convicted of heinous crimes that aligned with his twisted sense of justice: rapists and pedophiles. His methods were brutal and calculated, transforming him from a criminal into a legend within the prison walls, a legend of fear. Maudsley's reign of terror began with the murder of John Farrell in 1977. Farrell, a convicted child molester, was strangled with a makeshift garrote. The chilling efficiency of the crime was a harbinger of what was to come. Just a few short years later, his second victim, David Francis, shared a cell with Maudsley. On July 19, 1979, Francis was killed in what appeared to be a carefully planned assault. These killings were not simply acts of rage. They were meticulously executed, each detail designed to maximize the victim's suffering and to send a clear message within the prison community. This act cemented his status as a serial killer, a man devoid of remorse, a human cipher of darkness. Following these horrific acts, authorities made a decision that would further isolate him: solitary confinement. The 524 days of the Reddit post becomes a poignant echo of the reality of his imprisonment. Maudsley was placed in a specially designed cell in Wakefield Prison in the United Kingdom. The cell was constructed entirely of concrete, furnished with only the bare necessities: a bed, a sink, and a toilet. This concrete tomb became his permanent address, a place where he has lived in complete isolation. This kind of solitary confinement is designed to break the human spirit. It is a punishment designed to isolate, to control, and to slowly unravel the mind. It is a stark reflection of a life spent taking life, a desperate attempt to contain a darkness that the prison walls themselves could not fully hold back. The impact of Maudsley's crimes extended far beyond the prison walls. His actions sparked a debate about the efficacy of the prison system and the potential for violence within its walls. The debate was complex and deeply felt. Was Maudsley simply a monster, irredeemable and deserving of his fate? Or was he a product of his environment, a casualty of abuse and a broken system that had failed to provide him with rehabilitation? The questions surrounding his case and the circumstances of his crimes challenged the prevailing notions of justice and punishment, forcing society to confront the uncomfortable truths of the human condition. The current status of Robert Maudsley's case is a grim testament to his crimes and the state's response. He remains in solitary confinement at Wakefield Prison, a prisoner of his own making. The echoes of his actions continue to reverberate within the prison walls. The isolation of his confinement reflects the profound isolation he imposed on his victims, and perhaps the deep sense of isolation that led him to these terrible acts. The impact on the prison staff, the other inmates, and the families of his victims is immeasurable. The victims, men accused of heinous crimes, became pawns in Maudsley's brutal game. They were stripped of their dignity and their lives, victims of a vigilante who deemed himself judge, jury, and executioner. Their stories are forever intertwined with Maudsley's. Their final moments a chilling reminder of the depths of human depravity. Robert Maudsley's story is not just a true crime narrative. It's a haunting reflection of the complex interplay of violence, punishment, and the human psyche. His life, shrouded in darkness, reveals the grim reality of the prison system and the end. As he spends his days in his concrete tomb, time seems to stand still, forever echoing the chilling question, what is the cost of vengeance, and who truly pays the price? The answer, like the echo of 524 days, continues to resonate in the corridors of the prison, a constant reminder of the darkness that can reside within the human heart and the consequences of unchecked violence. The grim theater of Robert Maudsley's crimes unfolded within the brutal, unforgiving landscape of the British penal system. Born in 1953, his early years are shrouded in the kind of shadows that often breed profound disturbance. Though specific details remain elusive, it is widely understood that Maudsley's childhood was marked by severe abuse and trauma, the kind that can warp a developing psyche into something capable of unimaginable cruelty. This internal fracturing found its first expression within the legal system when he was convicted of sexual offenses, acts that were but a prelude to the far more horrific deeds that would come to define his existence. His initial conviction in 1974 marked the beginning of a trajectory that would see him become a notorious figure, a dark legend etched into the very fabric of prison history. The institutions designed for containment and reform, in Maudsley's case, became the backdrop for a horrifying narrative of murder and retribution. Maudsley's particular brand of terror was not directed at the wardens or the overarching system itself. Instead, his gaze fell upon those he deemed, in his profoundly warped worldview, to be deserving of a brutal, extrajudicial end. His victims were not random targets. They were individuals convicted of the very crimes that seemed to ignite his deepest-seated rage, rapists and pedophiles. This self-appointed role as a vigilante killer placed him in a unique and terrifying position within the prison hierarchy. His methods were characterized by a chilling efficiency and a calculated savagery that transformed him from a mere inmate into a figure of profound dread. The first documented act of this grim crusade occurred in 1977 with the murder of John Farrell, a man serving time for child molestation. Maudsley, with chilling premeditation, fashioned a garrote and ended Farrell's life. This act, swift and brutal, was a grim harbinger of the violence to come, a testament to Maudsley's capacity for calculated killing. Just a few years later, in July of 1979, Maudsley's cellmate, David Francis, met a similarly horrific fate. The details of Francis's demise within their shared cell suggest a meticulously planned assault, another grim tableau painted by Maudsley's hand. These were not spontaneous outbursts of anger. They were carefully orchestrated killings, each designed to inflict maximum suffering and to broadcast a message of terror throughout the prison community. These brutal murders cemented Maudsley's reputation. He was no longer just an inmate. He was a serial killer, a man seemingly devoid of any remorse, a chilling embodiment of darkness within the supposedly controlled environment of a prison. The response from the authorities was swift and decisive, leading to a decision that would forever alter the course of Maudsley's life and further isolate him from the outside world: perpetual solitary confinement. This extreme measure is what the cryptic 524 days on Reddit likely alludes to, a stark fragment of a much longer, unbroken period of isolation. Maudsley was transferred to Wakefield Prison, a maximum security facility in the United Kingdom, and placed in a specially constructed cell. This was not just a cell, it was a concrete tomb, designed to be his permanent address. Constructed entirely of stark, unyielding concrete, it offered little beyond the barest necessities: a bed, a sink, and a toilet. This was a deliberate attempt to break the human spirit, a punishment aimed at utter isolation, control, and the slow unraveling of the mind. It stands as a chilling parallel to Maudsley's own life, a life dedicated to taking lives, now met with a life confined within walls designed to suppress all external stimuli, a desperate attempt to contain a darkness that the very structure of the prison system could not entirely hold at bay. The ripple effect of Maudsley's crimes extended far beyond the grim confines of Wakefield Prison. His actions ignited a firestorm of debate concerning the efficacy of the prison system itself and the terrifying potential for inmate-on-inmate violence. The discussions were charged, complex, and deeply felt. Was Maudsley an irredeemable monster, a product of his own inherent evil? Or was he, in part, a creation of his environment, a victim of profound abuse and a system that had failed? These questions probed the very foundations of justice and punishment, forcing society to confront the uncomfortable and often unsettling truths about the human condition, the nature of evil, and the responsibility of the state. Robert Maudsley's current status is a grim and enduring testament to the severity of his crimes and the state's unwavering response. He remains, to this day, within the stark confines of his solitary cell at Wakefield Prison, a prisoner not just of the law, but seemingly of his own making. The echoes of his violent acts continue to reverberate through the corridors of the institution, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurks within. The profound isolation of his confinement mirrors the ultimate isolation he inflicted upon his victims, and, perhaps, speaks to the deep-seated sense of isolation that may have fueled his descent into such terrible acts. The human cost extends beyond the immediate victims, impacting the prison staff who work daily under the shadow of such violence, the other inmates living in constant fear, and the grieving families of those whose lives were brutally extinguished. The victims, men already condemned by the justice system for their own terrible offenses, became mere pawns in Maudsley's macabre game. Stripped of their dignity and their lives, they were executed by a self-appointed vigilante who believed himself to be judge, jury, and ultimate executioner. Their individual stories, however flawed, are now irrevocably intertwined with Maudsley's infamous narrative, their final, agonizing moments serving as a chilling testament to the unfathomable depths of human depravity. Robert Maudsley's story transcends the typical true crime account. It serves as a haunting reflection on the intricate and often disturbing interplay between violence, punishment, and the enigmatic landscape of the human psyche. His life, perpetually shrouded in the darkness of his cell, offers a grim glimpse into the realities of the prison system and the enduring, often fraught, struggle for justice and the elusive possibility of healing. As he continues to endure his sentence, entombed within his concrete cell, time itself seems to stand still, forever echoing the profound and unsettling question: what is the true cost of vengeance, and who, in the end, truly pays the price? The answer, much like the sparse, chilling echo of 524 days, continues to resonate in the desolate corridors of the prison, a perpetual reminder of the darkness that can fester within the human heart and the devastating, lasting consequences of unchecked violence.